So what's going on, guys? It's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I would like to apologize for no uploads this week. This seems to be like a recurring theme with me, but honestly I had so much coursework to catch up with, especially because I'd missed like the past few weeks for obvious reasons, but we're all good now. I submitted one of my assignments off earlier and we're pretty much up to date now, so it means I can get back to some daily videos, which is absolutely great. I did record some videos with a pro player by the name of Daniel Fink, who plays for VfL Bochum, I do believe, from the Bundesliga. So that should be a pretty entertaining video for you guys, some really intense matches. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about a formation which is quite overlooked in my opinion, one which is really effective, and one which I was surprised when I played with, like how good it was, and it is the 4-2-3-1 like wide variation, not the narrow with the three cams, the wide one with the left mid and the right mid. But I will explain all of that later on, as well as some player instructions and some custom tactics. But before we get into that, guys, I would appreciate it if you could drop a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and yeah, also turn on those notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. I can tell you now, this formation got me to 21-0, and the only reason it wasn't more is because I stopped playing, I swear to God. You know, we were doing very well this weekend, but I just ran out of time, unfortunately, because it was a Sunday night and I didn't want to play anymore, as you could probably understand, so we stopped playing. But obviously next month I'm going to try and take it a bit more serious, get better awards. But anyway, guys, a bit sidetracked. The formation, like I said, we're going to be looking at is the 4-2-3-1 wide variation, and you're probably wondering why this formation is so good, and the answer is actually very simple. If you go into a game of FUT Champions, you will quite often find that everybody uses narrow formations, while the majority of top tier players use narrow formations. We're talking the 4-1-2-1-2 and the 4-2-3-1 narrow. You know, narrow formations, ones which play down the center of the pitch, don't use the wings that much. So what this formation allows you to do is really use that extra space you have down the wings, because nobody on the other team is using that, so you just get like free runs down the right and left hand side of the pitch, and it's pretty much not contested half the time, and it can lead to some really dangerous chances because you can cross the ball in without any pressure on your attack, as you have the control of the pitch and your opponent is quite often boxed in his own half, and it's really great, especially on the counter attack. But anyway, this is the team that we used just to start things off. I did change it up a bit. I bought this Henry card. I don't think he's worth 900k, but he's a really fun player to use, I think. 11 goals in 25 games with 10 assists. Not brilliant, but he does a lot more than you'd think he would. He plays at the right mid position for me. Obviously Ronaldo plays at striker. Just look at that record. 629 goals in 450 games, and 241 assists. That's ridiculous. Gareth Bale played 907 games, 479 goals with 451 assists. This Patrick Vieira, which we did, is starting to rack up the appearances. I really like him. Petit's starting to become quite a legend of this club. Milinkovic-Savic is one we packed in one of these, Path to Glory SBC things, along with Sterling. So we got very lucky with these. We got like these two in 2 packs, so we can't complain. But anyway, moving on to like the player instructions for this formation. Obviously, I start in the 4-3-2-1 to get the chemistry. But if we were going to like set this up in game, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'd do. Obviously, I don't do this in like the pre-match lobby, because it doesn't make sense to do it like that, because I wouldn't get chemistry. But obviously, this is the formation, so I would have Petit and Vieira as my CDMs, and then I'll quite often have Milinkovic-Savic as a central cam. And some people might not agree with this choice, but I like to have a middle cam which is quite tall, because you can win a lot of headers, and it really helps to have somebody which is you know, quite powerful in the midfield. He's not like the strongest guy, but he's tall, has good work rates for a cam. can win a header. He's got insane jumping, so it's just nice to have a player like that in the middle of the midfield, in my opinion. But yeah, this is what it looks like in game. And if we're gonna look at the player instructions, I like to have my Ronaldo on get in behind and press backline, because that allows him to get in behind the defenders, you know, really play off the shoulders of them, get in behind so you can play balls through to him, and he often gets easy one-on-one chances, especially when the opponent is playing with extremely high pressure and they're a bit careless with their defensive line. You know, it really helps putting the pressure on the defense, that kind of thing. Like, it makes up a lot of goals is what I'm trying to say. But that's it for the striker position. For the central cam, I like to have it on stay forward and free roam. This is because I like to have my middle cam to stay up there, so I have someone to aim for other than Ronaldo, so he's not just up there on his own. And what I find with Milinkovic-Savic, the particular reason I use him, is because since he's 6'3", he can quite often win headers up the pitch when you boot the ball up. He can hold off players, so you can play in your wider players, and I find it to be really effective when going on the counter attack, so that's why I have it on stay forward. The free roam just allows him to move across the line, so he's not too predictable and can go and retrieve balls from anywhere. So I find that to be really, really effective. Now for the left mid and right mid, I'm honestly a bit undecided, but what I've been going off is get in behind and stay forward on both of these, because even though you say stay forward, even though you put them on stay forward, they seem to get back a little bit, but it's not too much, and it often conserves their energy, so you are really, really deadly when you're on the attack. And there's like 4 players up the pitch when you counter attack, and you have so many different options, and because they cover up such like a massive area of the pitch, you can go right down the left, you can go through the middle, you can go down the right, or you can play it up the top to Ronaldo. And obviously with these, like, because it's so wide, you'll find that your opponent's narrow formation has to spread out and go out of proportion a bit, so it often really like pulls the opponent's team out of position, and you can get so many easy chances. So I find this to be extremely deadly on the counter attack. But obviously I'm still experimenting with this, but I'm finding this to be really effective at the minute. I must note as well that you want your left mid and right mid to be relatively strong and quick at the same time. So basically a meta player, you want them to be quick, strong, you know, whatever you would have down the wings, you want a strong and fast player is what I'm trying to say. But that's what we have for those right mid and left mid. Moving on to the CDM, I leave Petit alone because I like to have one which can roam around a bit and really offer that element of unpredictability in the attack. So when I leave Petit unbalanced, it allows him to go up and down the pitch. You know, he has high work rate, so he can attack and he does come back. That's the main thing. Because of his high defensive work rate, he will come back. But since he can get involved in the attack, it really adds to the variation in your attack. So you can do lots of different plays. It's not as predictable, and sometimes he can make some darting runs which can really cut through the defense. Obviously you need one defensive minded CDM, and Vieira does that perfectly for me. Obviously the whole point of Vieira for me is just to defend. Like, I don't need him to attack. As good as his stats are in the attack, I just don't need him to attack. I just need him to stay back. So we have him on stay back while attacking and cut passing lanes, so we can monitor the passes going into the middle of the pitch and cut them out effectively. Now moving on to the fullbacks, I like to have these two on stay back while attacking, because I just feel like if you allow those to go forward, it's too it exposes your backline too much. When these two bomb forward and a ball gets cut out, like, because it quite often does, I'll just have Blanc and Kolasinac, and as good as these two are for me, they just won't be able to stop 4 attackers down the wings. Like if it's like a 4-2-3-1 and it's against Laurent Blanc and Kolasinac, like the sheer width will just rip them apart, and the amount of players, so it just wouldn't work. So you need to have that balance in defense. So that's why we keep these on stay back, just to really shore up the defense and stop you from being so exposed when you lose the ball. Now that is what we have for the player instructions. Let's move on to these custom tactics. Now, I like to have the speed on about 60 for this because I feel like with wide formations, you really rely on the speed. Since you're not really going to be able to control the middle of the pitch too much because it's very widespread, you must really focus on going for the goals, in my opinion. So by having this on 60, it allows you to quickly counter-attack your opponent. And obviously it's not too, like the variable's not too high, the value's not too high, so you can't play slow. It's just leaning more towards that quick build-up counter-attack style, so you can quickly break down your opponent and get the goals. That's what I find to be really effective with this formation. Similarly with the passing, I have it on 55, so you can vary your passes, long, short, quick, slow. You know, it's just really varied. That's why we have that on 55. Positioning on organised, because you don't want players in your first third of the pitch to be bombing up out of position. I've spoken about this multiple times. If we had this on freeform, you would have your left back switching with your centre back, and it just would not be good. Because imagine having a 5'10" centre back when you've got a really slow, like imagine a centre back playing left back. It's just not nice, is it? So we leave that alone because you don't really want your defenders mucking up their positions. Chance creation. For this section, I have the passing on 60 again. Like I said, quick, nice, fast build-up. Players getting into nice positions to retrieve the pass. I find it to be effective on the counter-attack because there's a lot of passing options. Obviously, you don't want it. Obviously, you don't want it about 70 because it's just a bit hectic, a bit out of control, and like if you have it too high, you can just become unstuck too easily, in my opinion, and it just doesn't work. Crossing, we have it on 54 because obviously it's a wide formation. You want your players to get into crossing positions. You really want to exploit what you can use because of the wideness of the formation. So having this on 54 allows me to go for that cross every now and then, which is really useful. And that's another great thing about this formation. You can really switch up what you do. People don't know whether you're going to pass it into the middle. They don't know if you're going to whip it back sticks. They really have no clue if you switch it up enough. So that's what I really like. It's very unpredictable indeed. And obviously you want your shooting value to be relatively high so your players get into nice shooting positions to obviously score goals, which Ronaldo does for me very nicely. Now for this, I do like to have it on freeform because I feel like the more your players alternate, the more chances you're going to create, the less predictable you are, and like I said, the more goals you're going to score. So having this on freeform, unlike in the backline, it doesn't really matter if your cam switches with your left mid because they're all there to attack, you know. So it doesn't really matter, I don't think anyway. Freeform really helps with chance creation, in my opinion. And now for defense, usually I lean towards quite low pressure, but recently I've been struggling a bit in the defense, and I feel like if you have your pressure on quite high, you seem to control the game a lot more than you can if you have your pressure on low. Because when your pressure is low, your defensive line sits quite far back near your box. So when you lose the ball, you're bringing the opponent's team right onto you. Whereas if you have the pressure on quite high, you're constantly boxing your opponent in and taking control, making them, forcing them into mistakes, and basically you have the ball a lot more, and I feel a lot more comfortable that way. Obviously the only downside is when they play that through ball, you can quite often be caught out because of the quick strikers getting in behind the defenders, which we spoke about earlier, but I feel like that risk is worth it, especially in this formation. Now for aggression, I've spoken about this before, I like to have this on 60 because you can win the ball in nice high attacking areas where you wouldn't be able to if your aggression is low. It also helps lead your opponent into mistakes so they give the ball away, that kind of thing. The only problem with having your aggression on quite high is the fact that sometimes your players might slide and not win the ball, so it just plays them out the game and your opponent has a chance on goal. But having it on 60 seems to be pretty decent for me because I seem to, win the ball back in nice attacking positions. It worked against the pro player quite well. I'm just going to say that now. I scored some goals from that. I'm just going to say that. Now for team width, as much as wide formations are good, you don't want your team width to be about 60 because it's too wide and there'll be too many gaps in your pitch. So I feel like in your team, sorry. So I feel like having it on about 48 to 50 is balanced. That's what you want. You want it to be balanced. You want it to be narrow but wide at the same time. So your players can go down the wings, but you want them to be compact. So if you had this on 60, all your team would just be so spread out, so wide, would not be good. Balls would be played through your defensive line very quickly. Like, you'd just get cut apart. So having this on 48 allows for your team to be compact but wide at the same time, and gives you a lot of control, I think. Defend the line, we have this on cover, because if you have it on offside trap, your players will jump forward when a through ball is played, and as good as that is sometimes to play them offside, when it doesn't work, you are completely screwed. So it's better to have it on cover so they cover the passes instead. Now, that's pretty much it for this formation, guys. I honestly really like it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. You know, I'm really enjoying crossing the ball a lot more than I used to. And you know what? Switching up my playstyle has been quite a learning curve, and it's been quite fun, which FIFA hasn't been in a while, to be honest. So this is quite refreshing for me, and I'm really enjoying it and finding it quite effective. So hopefully you guys might as well. But that just about sums it up for this video, guys. If you have enjoyed or found it informative, I would appreciate it if you could drop a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and also turn on those notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with that aside, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day, and I will catch you all later. Peace.